Hi everyone, happy Thanksgiving. Ben here. You're about to watch What Are You Watching? This week I had Kevin Smets on, and we just talked about what he's been watching. We talked some Andrew, we talked some White Lotus, come check it out. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We have our show on basically every day. Hit that like button too, please, and happy Thanksgiving. Hey guys, welcome back to What Are You Watching? I am Ben, and with me, very special guest host and guest, Kevin Smith. How you doing, my man?
Those are some graphics right there. Who did those CGI graphics for your intro, man? That's like top notch.
There's a website I like to call Fiverr.com.
Wow. Oh, you hired someone. That's on Fiverr. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, man. We had one of my KOTOR guys, one of my people on my KOTOR, they would do Fiverr. They were really good at doing Star Wars crawls.
Oh, nice,
On
nice.
our KOTOR movies, they were all original crawls, obviously, because we did our own thing. And he was really he made him he made him look so legit, like they were better than the video game crawls, to be honest. Made it look just like the movies. And he had a Fiverr, and he would do a lot of Fivers for people. So the same
Oh,
thing.
that's awesome. I wish I had that talent. I have no talent when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
I'm an editor. I could do editing, but like the CGI stuff, like I leave that for much more creative minds and talented minds than my own.
So for those of you who don't know, the show is having on a guest, and we just talk about what they have been watching. And so, what have you been watching, my man?
Man, I since retiring from the Schmodown, so it's not I don't have to watch geek movies anymore. It's been freeing, and I really haven't been watching a lot of movies because I mean I saw Black Panther opening week, but like I haven't seen Black Adam yet. I'm just like I was so forced to watch those movies during
Right.
my tenure as a IG player that it was very hard. It's very hard for me to get excited about those again. So, aside from Star Wars, because of course I'm one of the hosts on a podcast show called Scoundrels Inc., which you can see right there.
Right.
Me, Brandon Hanna, Sean Solly, Frank Janish, we talk Star Wars. We talk Andor specifically. So one of the shows, obviously, I've been watching is Andor. And they got the big, you're airing this on Thanksgiving, so it has already aired. Well,
Yeah.
it's the air date, basically. Well, Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday, it's aired. So
Yeah.
it's going to air tonight, actually, when we record this is Tuesday.
Right.
So at midnight, kind of excited, man. How about you? Been watching that show?
Oh, I love it. It's not my favorite, but it's the best of the shows, I think.
Yeah. What's your favorite Star Wars live show?
I'm an Obi-Wan fan, man. I love the
Me too.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Before the season started, I ranked Obi-Wan higher than Andor, obviously. I did a movie version of Andor, or Andor, not Andor. I did a movie version of Obi-Wan with my buddy Brandon Twig. He was actually doing most of the work, to be honest. But
Oh, wow.
we figured out ways to cut down Obi-Wan and add. My only problem with Obi-Wan was just the lack of music, and I don't need it scored like a fan film, but you needed to hear those themes earlier on. You needed to hear a brief pronouncement of Anakin and Padme's love theme when he talks about his mother or her mother to Leia. Like you need
Right.
to hear Leia's theme a little bit earlier on, and you can't say, "Oh, they haven't earned it yet," or the Vader theme isn't until the very last episode because that's when he earns it because it's in Attack of the Clones. That theme is in Revenge of the Sith, so the Leia's theme's in Revenge of the Sith. So I felt like that was the director kind of flexing her muscle and ego a little bit, saying like, no, this is my own little thing. I think if she would have played ball a little bit more, but in my movie version, we don't do it wall to wall like that other cut. No offense to that other cut, but like we did it very in specific spots. So it felt like you had a brand new soundtrack, but we would interweave it with a couple of the themes. So Obi-Wan was there and Andor, but Andor's slowly creeping up now, man. Like I gotta say,
Right.
and I love more the lore and the Jedi stuff than war stuff. So that's probably why Obi-Wan ranks higher for me. and I was glad Hayden Christensen got a chance to redeem himself. But
Yeah.
when it comes to my rankings, Andor is creeping up there, and it's no question Andor is the best written, best directed, best acted. That doesn't necessarily mean for me that would be my favorite, just because of the subject matter. I think Obi-Wan, just probably why you have the same reason, but like Obi-Wan ranks over it for me. But Andor sure making a strong case for it, you know.
Oh, absolutely. How do you think it's going to end tonight? Any guesses, or do you just go in not expecting anything?
Oh man, I think an after credit scene, which they confirm there's going to be one. I think that'll have Palpatine in it,
Ooh,
or as a hologram, maybe not. You don't need him, but
no.
I think it might be something interesting, just like Palpatine, like going on the airwaves, or like communicating with someone like you screwed up or you did excellent, maybe Dedra or something. But I don't know, man. Like that's the beauty of it. Like what I love about it is I don't know with Andor. Like you don't like even like trying to piece together what's the remaining trailer footage we haven't seen yet. Like you still really don't know. It looks like there'll probably be an uprising on Ferrix. I think it all goes back to Ferrix and with the funeral for Marva, and we'll see what happens. And Andor will come back to that planet. So
Yeah.
I think it's all it's gonna all point ahead, and I think there'll be a time jump at the end of the episode or during the post-credit scene. For sure, there's a time jump into the next season. So everything that's currently at stake now is going to kind of come to a crescendo and satisfy itself, hopefully to a good conclusion. And from what I'm seeing, they didn't have an embargo, and people who have seen the episode said it does not disappoint. So I'm excited. And people by now, they're listening to it. They probably already watched it. So I'm
Right.
sure you guys are like screaming at the screen right now, like, oh, it was great or whatever. So I'm excited for that.
Nice. Have you been watching anything else?
Oh yeah. So Andor, how about you? Do you have any finale predictions for Andor?
I did. I would like to see a clip, not the whole scene, but like a clip of K2. Give
Oh
me
yeah.
like, give me Alan Tudyk's voice somehow. That's one that would make me happy.
Yeah. That would be interesting to see K2 in there. A lot of people think that B2 EMO gets transferred into K2 or a security
I'm
droid.
one of them. I'm really that.
Oh wow, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a fun rant on our show Scoundrels Inc. where I talk about B2 EMO because he's an emo droid. He's a little too emotional for my taste. Like
Right.
I want a dependable droid more like R2D2. But it would be interesting if he got plugged into K2SO. I don't see a lot of the same personality traits though. K2SO seems a lot more, but maybe that's just something that he can tweak and he can up the sarcastic factor, or maybe V2 gets in the body of a K2 unit and then suddenly has all way more confidence, you know what I mean, to be
Yeah.
sarcastic and smug and funny.
It's going to be good. That's all I know. It's going to be good, and they earned my faith, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been a good show so far, top to bottom. Do you think that Luthen is a Jedi?
I don't know,
Former
but
Jedi?
I don't think he's coming out of this episode alive.
Oh,
That's
you
my
think
guess.
he dies in this one?
I think he died.
Wow. Yeah, I think early on my predictions for the end of first season was Luthen not making it. He's not making it out of the series for sure, but the question is,
Right.
does he make it out of the season? Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Like because does he still want Cassian dead? Like that's all the stuff that I'm interested in seeing satisfied to a conclusion. Someone's got to die, right? There's got to be some sort of epic death.
Especially if there's a time jump, I don't see him making it to the future. Like, we've seen Rogue One and he wasn't there, so
Yeah.
somewhere he has to die, I think. My guess.
Yeah, like because he's not part of the rebellion and stuff like that, and
Uh,
Saw obviously met his end. That's why he's not in the originals. There's something to be said about that. Like if you don't see him in the originals, are they dead? There's a good point though that it's such a big galaxy that like maybe you wouldn't see him, but of such an important figure as Luthen, yeah, like I think he's going to befell a tragedy. But is it going to be tonight, or I guess people again are screaming at the screens. They're probably like, oh, we know already, you idiots, But yeah, I'm curious how that's going to all go down. But I'm excited to see it. The music's been great in that, and I still maintain that Kino Loy is Snoke. Just kidding, but it's a fun theory to have anyway. And
It is
I
a
like.
fun theory. I don't think so. I
Yeah,
think two separate people.
you didn't see him in the background swimming away he was on a motorboat, like when he got on a boat and he just took off. So he's gonna hang out until he gets that big scar on his forehead and then becomes Snoke.
Anything's impossible, I guess.
Yeah. The other stuff that I've been watching and so it goes along with Star Wars. So I started this crazy endeavor just because when I was in the inner geekdom, like I would cover Star Wars, but I knew it so well on an IG level that I really never rewatched stuff, and I pretty much rested on my laurels, which is why I think I missed a couple gimmies sometimes. I missed one against Adam Lavick, I remember, that I was like, oh, I should have got that if I had watched it anytime recent. But so I figured out like this ultimate rewatch of Star Wars. Like it's going to take me 15 years probably, but no, I figured out the canon and some not canon, but in my head canon, because I really loved it, like the order of like starting with Tales from the Jedi, like the Dooku episodes.
Oh wow.
Then I listened and read to Darth Plagueis novel, because I love that. Have you read that novel?
No, I need to. I
It's
need
like
to.
it's like The Godfather, man. Like it's so good. It shows it's less about Plagueis, more. Well, it is a lot about Plagueis, but it's also about how he met Palpatine and how the Emperor or how Sheev became who he is and how he got the power, and it overlaps with the Phantom Menace. So there are parts in the book, like when Qui-Gon's telling Anakin about the midi-chlorians on that platform. Plagueis is literally several buildings away with binoculars and a listening device, listening to that conversation, spying on it, and he's wondering why is he telling that little boy about midi-chlorians, like. And when they take off, and when Chancellor Palpatine, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to spoil storyline plot stuff, but Plagueis is alive during most of Phantom Menace, which is crazy.
Oh
And in that
wow.
book, you see how he gets killed and stuff like that, and it's all during like the events of Phantom Menace. So it starts out way before Phantom Menace when Palpatine's like a kid, a teenager, and then it goes up to literally the middle part of Phantom Menace. So
Yeah, I might
like
have
about
to
Tales
check
of the
that
Jedi.
out. What?
You know how Tales of the Jedi
Yeah.
took place with Dooku, that took place in during Phantom Menace. Did you like Tales of the Jedi?
Yeah, I did. I like the Dooku stuff more than the Ahsoka stuff, but I really enjoyed it all.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't too. The Ahsoka origin was nice and stuff, and it was cool to see. But I was more interested in the Dooku stuff, obviously,
Right.
and young Qui-Gon was like one of my favorite Jedi's growing up.
How they got him to look like a little Liam Neeson? I don't know, man. I bought him as a young Liam Neeson.
Yeah, you didn't, or you did?
No, I did.
Yeah,
He looked
that's his
like
son.
him. Oh, really? I
Liam
didn't
Neeson's
know that.
son played young Liam Neeson, and then the old Liam Neeson was played by Liam Neeson.
Okay,
But yeah,
very
Liam
cool.
Neeson's son played in that first one where he's a Padawan. That's his son. They got to voice his father's character, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, and then Liam Neeson obviously did the Dooku stuff later, or not Dooku, sorry, Qui-Gon stuff later.
Right.
But yeah, so going into that, so then yeah, I have this list. It's like every, and it goes. It's like to watch everything in canon, and some, like I said, that I just think of head canon. So from the start of Tales of the Jedi till literally the rise of Skywalker. I'm not doing the High Republic stuff yet. I'd like to get into that someday, but just doing a rewatch. And my wife's joining me for some of the rewatch. So like she watched the Phantom Menace with me, and what was cool is during the Phantom Menace when those Tales of the Jedi scenes came, I literally stopped and I switched it over. So she got more of Dooku in Phantom Menace. So when we're now watching Attack of the Clones, when Dooku showed up, my wife knew who it was. And it's totally like, she was like, oh, that's the guy that killed Yaddle or killed the little Yoda girl. That's what she said.
That's
It was
very
a cool
cool.
experiment, like that Dooku is so, is established a little more. Now, obviously, like it's a weird movie with Phantom Menace if you just have Dooku in there a little and Yaddle gets killed in it. But yeah, I'm watching everything in chronological. So once we're done with Attack of the Clones, like then I start the long trudge through Clone Wars, which I love. I did
Right.
this before, like before Phantom or before Force Awakens came out. I watched all of it in chronological order. So I'm excited to do that again because, like, I think that the Clone Wars cartoon really enhances Episode 3 and beyond, you know, and makes
Right.
all the movies better. I think. Um, so yeah, it goes like after that. Like I even have like some of the comic series. Like there's the or the Darth Vader comic from 2017, which is great. That covers right after he turns bad, like right after Revenge of the Sith. So you see him struggling. Like that's a great comic series. Then
I started that. I didn't finish it, but
yeah,
from what I know, it was cool. Really
it's great.
cool.
You could find on YouTube. Like this is what I've been finding is I used to back in the day. I used to do this like when I was just having fun with before YouTube even existed, doing motion comics, and people have animated or at least done audio comics of these comics, and you could watch. Like you could watch the entire Vader comics run. It's on YouTube right now. You could watch it. You know.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah.
like that.
And someone even did an audio comic or a comic and motion comic of Duel of the Fates, like the rejected episode 9 movie, which is interesting.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, so I'm going through that, and that'll be fun going through Clone Wars, and it's good too because I'm co-hosting on a Star Wars show, so kind of diving back into it. I used to, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but granted, when the IG came out, or when I was in the IG, it was just I couldn't devote that kind of time, and I wasn't going to do the Star Wars division. Those guys are two beasts. So for
And
me,
that's a scary division. I remember watching that, and I always go back to that one parking ticket question. How the heck did they remember that parking
yeah, the
violation?
ticket. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where you're just like, I'm checking out on that one. Like, I
right.
think back, and I'm not saying that the players from back in the day had it easier, but like back in the Whitwer days and stuff like that, I would play along and like do nearly perfect. So it was like great. But once it started expanding, where they were running out of questions, where they're like, well, now they got to go to the books, and not the books like the guidebooks and like the
Right, right, right.
um those things where you had to know the name of every character in the background, even if it's not stated. Because the old Schmodown kind of unwritten rule was in IG anyway, like it has to be stated in the movie, at least for very specific things. It would have to be stated in the movies, and Star Wars went away from that. So when that happened, I was just like, all right, peace out, dude. Like that's not happening. But yeah, so that'll be fun going through that. And I love the Clone Wars. And then yeah, there's audio, like there's people have done like animations of like the books too, like of Labyrinth of Evil, which is a cool non-canon but cool prequel to Revenge of the Sith. They
Okay.
used to have this sequel of trilogy of books: Labyrinth of Evil, Revenge of the Sith, and then Star Wars Dark Lord, which was kind of like the same thing, like Vader's first earliest days, figuring out how to be him and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It's going to take forever, but it literally goes through everything all the way till the end of Rise of Skywalker. So it'll be interesting to see how that feels and watching it all.
Can I ask you what are your feelings on the sequel trilogy? I'm just curious.
I uh well, I like the yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan anyway. I wish they stuck the landing a little better at the end. But I know they were in a bad spot once Carrie Fisher passed away. But the thing about the sequel trilogy, what I wish they did more is know where they were ending up. You know what I mean? Like when they were handing off the baton, like Ryan Johnson should have known where episode 9 was going to end. Like they should have had the overall arc. And I'm not trying to say we did it better with KOTOR, but like on KOTOR, I remember splitting the game up, the first game into 3 movies, and I was going to take some liberties. But I knew when I was working on episode 1 where how episode 3 would end of my KOTOR trilogy. Like I knew that things in episode 1 or 2 would inform things in 3. And it felt like with this, especially when they threw away Trevorrow's script, like the things that were built up in 7 and 8 were like kind of just either like retcon for 9 or just kind of thrown away, right? I'm not a fan of that. I wish that they had I'm shocked they didn't do it. I'm shocked that I thought when they did Force Awakens that they knew where episode 9 would go and end. And the fact that they didn't, where it was just like one movie, then the next movie, then the next movie, kind of bums me out. But that said, I like The Last Jedi. I'm not one that hates that. I don't hate on it. I think some parts of it are brilliant. And Rise of Skywalker did what it had to do. Um, it's tough because I'm an editor and I kind of know where I can kind of see where things are edited, and also like I was aware of all the deleted scenes in Force Awakens, and like I saw it, like literally Leia. There was a deleted scene where Leia says in Force Awakens, "Never underestimate a droid," and they repurposed it brilliantly, might I add. But they repurposed it in the Rise of Skywalker. But because I had already known that deleted scene for so long, like it just always stuck out at me. So,
Mm.
and I'm not saying they should have recast. In my head, I thought they were just gonna they would do kind of what they did for Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman, where he died, and work it into the story and have that open with it, like Leia had died in between the movies, and the galaxy's mourning, but here we are. This is where we got to go next. But I appreciate that they tried to weave her into it. And what's interesting about that is the original Colin Trevorrow script. She was like front and center. Like it was always supposed to be like centered around Leia. Like Han had his movie in 7, Luke had his movie in 8, and she was supposed to have her movie in 9. And to a larger, wider sense, George Lucas's original treatment for the first trilogy was about the father, the second trilogy was about the son, and the sequel trilogy was going to be about the daughter, which is Leia. So I understand why they kept her in, and it's fine. Like when my wife watches it, she will not be aware. Like she'll just be like, "Oh, wow," But the editor in me, like I see it, and just knowing the backstory and the tragedy of losing Carrie, yeah, it's tough. But I don't know. I wonder how Rise of Skywalker would have been if she got the Black Panther treatment. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think there is one right answer for that movie. Any answer they did, people were going to be upset with.
Yeah, no matter
Right?
what they did.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like they would damn if they knew it, damn if they don't.
Yeah, that's true. So, how about you? You like the sequels or you don't like them?
I like Seven, but they're hard for me to watch. Only because, like you said, there's no through line. All this wasted potential with Seven. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
In my head canon, it ends with Return of the Jedi. Oh,
Oh
I
wow.
should say Mandalorian. Oh, I should say Mandalorian.
Yeah. Just that. Well, I don't. For me, like in my fandom, I don't fault people for having their opinions. Like they have their opinions, and that's what's great about being a fan is you can choose to like something or you can choose not to. When other fans try to impose their will on other fans, that's what I don't like about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why on our Scoundrels Inc. show we like to have a lot of fun and we'll poke fun at each other's theories and stuff like that. But no one's judged for anything. You know what I mean? Like it's like we respect everybody's opinions, and that's why it's fun to do that show with those fellas. So
Exactly. We're the same way over here. We're the same way over here.
yeah. But to answer your question, outside of Star Wars, and that's going to obviously take a long time from start to bottom. Obviously that's going to be quite the interesting thing. White Lotus, I watched that. I don't know if you watched that on HBO Max with my wife. Season 2,
I
which is
hear it's good. I hear it's really good. You liking it?
yeah, it's quirky. It's a very quirky style. It's hard to describe. I don't know really how to describe what it's like, but like uh, there are funny moments and there are dark moments, and it's like the first season. It's almost like a brand new cast of characters. They only brought like 2 people back from the first season,
Oh
and it's like a
wow.
different hotel and a different place. It makes me really want to visit Italy again, but or again at the first time. But yeah, White Lotus is great. There's kind of they open with like a murder in the water or a dead body. So like in the very first scene, and then it goes back a week. So then the whole series, you're trying to figure out, well, wait, which person's going to die, which is always kind of interesting and really gets the brain working. So you kind of get excited for that. And the acting's really well, like really, really well done. Aubrey Plaza's in it. She's good. Um, and the Stifler's mom. She's the carryover. I forget the actress's name, but the woman that played
Oh,
Stifler's mom in American Pie,
yeah,
she carries over.
nice.
And oh yeah, and yeah, there's some great cool storylines. F. Murray Abraham's in it too, so he's good. I'm like trying to figure out because they just got renewed for a season 3. Like, oh, what actor will get carried over for the next season? Like, I'm curious to see where that will land. You know what I mean? But so White Lotus, you haven't seen it? I would recommend that. Watch the first season so you can kind of get that vibe of what it's like. You know what I mean? But yeah, that, like I said, like kind of, you're just trying to figure out who's going to get murdered, but it's not like a dark murder mystery. Like everybody, there's a bunch of storylines from the different people that are staying there. Some are about like a father trying to reconnect with his family, but also he's addicted to like sex, and he's has a sex addiction. And but the father, he's trying to still recommit to the mom, and the mom's not there, but the son's there, so they have that. And just like another overbearing boss and her assistant. So it's like a lot of interesting subplots, and they all kind of are staying in the same place. So sometimes they'll interact with each other. Yeah, I guess
How
it's like a
many?
modern day Love Boat, but if Love Boat was like dark, but I don't even remember Love
Oh,
Boat, but yeah. Or it's just at Love Boat, I feel like every episode had a different cast except for the crew,
right,
kind of similar to that. Um,
right.
and then Walking Dead. I don't know if you watched that. The Walking Dead ended this week.
No, were you a fan of that?
Yeah, well, I watched it back in the day religiously up for the first like 2 3 seasons, first 3 or 4 seasons. I watched it like all the time, and then I jumped back on board right before Negan showed up, and I watched those like the season right before Negan, and then Negan season, a couple seasons. And that show, interestingly, Negan was so well done, but it was so depressing that one season, season 8, I think it was, where he was just always winning, and our heroes were dying or always on their backs and like backs to the wall. And a lot of people stopped watching it because it was like too dreary. Like they didn't have enough win. They were supposed. I think they should have filtered in a couple wins for our heroes, and they didn't do that as often as they I think fans would have liked. So a lot of people stopped watching it then. And then of course it's tough to maintain a show for so long. I think that was season 11, which is just crazy to
Yeah.
think. But yeah, and then I recently rewatched this when I knew it was ending. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch the last season, and it's a totally different vibe now. Like Andrew Lincoln's not there anymore, Michonne's not in it, but it's still really. I liked it. I like redemption arcs, even though what Negan did was almost irredeemable. But he's still in it, and he's with the group, and still everybody in the group still this long after hates him for what he did, but he's just basically on bended knee, always trying to help out the group and trying to let them know, like, you know, he never, that's the other thing. He never really said sorry to Maggie, and spoiler alert for the finale, he finally does, like, because he gets put in a position where he's about to get killed, which would have been really dramatic, but they had already announced they're doing a spinoff with him. Like they announced it
Oh
months ago,
wow.
which makes no sense that you would do that before the end of the season, because you want to know it would have when he's on his knees and he's about to get killed by these bad guys. I won't say who. You really do think like, wow, like you probably think that that would be ironic and karma. That's how he's going to go, but he's going to live because they already announced the sequels they're going to do, or they're going to do a spinoff series. So took a little bit away from that, but that was fun. And then so the big it culminates. And it tries to tie up any loose threads, but now they also used it to launch. They had an after credit scene basically where they're launching Rick and Michonne. They're having their own show too because he's back. So he'll be back. Right. So it was like it wrapped up with most of the people, but like, and then even Daryl has his own show coming out. So it's like you're saying it's the end of a series, but then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the cast members have spinoffs. You have Negan and Maggie have a spinoff. That's spinoff 1. Then you have Daryl with a spinoff, and then you have Rick and Michonne with a spinoff. So you have 3 spinoff shows plus Fear the Walking Dead. So it was hard to make. It didn't feel like it was like the end solid conclusion. Like felt for the storyline that they had, it felt like a worthy. For me, it was fine. I know people online weren't liking it as much, which is fine too. I understand their reasons, and maybe they hung in too long, or they not too long. They hung in for so long that stuff that they wanted wrapped up that maybe I'm not aware of because I skipped, I didn't watch several seasons. But yeah, that was good, man. How about you? What are you watching?
I'm watching a little bit of everything, but I and so I loved House of the Dragon. Did you watch that?
Which one?
House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones.
House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones and the Lord of the Rings show, which is interesting. Like that was right after they premiered pretty much right after the end of my Schmodown days, and I was all amped to do it. But like, and I'm still gonna get to it. But Lord of the Rings show reminded me too much of Lord of the Rings, which I've watched over and over so much that I needed a break from sorcery and you know what I mean, so swords and
Right.
stuff like that. So I kind of put a pin in that. But I liked the first episode, and then I watched the first episode of House of the Dragon. But I just stopped. Like I know that it's going to get crazy, and I'm excited for. Like I'm excited that I have a show that is so well liked that I get to jump in. But I'm literally I think I've only watched 2 episodes, so I know I have it all
Oh,
waiting for me. But I'm trying to wait for when there's a lull where there's really nothing on, for me when
that might
sports is
that
not here.
right. Well, man, I will say this. I won't give anything away, but I do think it's Matt Smith's best acting role.
He's good. He's good in it.
Oh, he's incredible.
Is he like? Because he seemed okay. Like, has he become a villain, or is he? You could tell me. Is he become a villain, or is he like a tweener the whole time?
That's the thing about the show. Nobody's really a pure hero or villain. Everybody is kind of either somewhere in the gray.
Yeah.
And the guy, oh, what is his name? The guy who plays Hightower, the lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man,
Yeah. I
he's
forget who he is.
incredible.
He's
He's
good.
incredible.
Wow. Yeah, I'm getting
Yeah,
excited to watch that show. I know that it's like I'm excited to rewatch all of Game of Thrones too. Like that's something that I wanted to do back when I was in the IG, but I just couldn't. You'd feel guilty. Mara famously says it was a time where you'd feel guilty if you weren't watching an IG movie because you felt like you always had to be watching them. So I like that we don't have to watch them anymore. So
yeah, that might have been tough. And you might have had to watch a lot of bad ones too, right?
oh, brother, so many bad ones. I'm glad we're not doing this show during my time as an IG because it would be all about the bad ones. There's more bad ones than good ones. There's still good ones, but you'd have to trog through those bad ones, and you couldn't just avoid watching them because the questions got too precise. So you had to really go in and deep dive on some of these bad movies, which isn't a way. You should be only watching stuff that you like. You know what I mean? That's why
How,
this show's cool. What are you watching? It's like stuff you're excited to watch.
exactly. How many times did you have to watch X-Men Origins Wolverine?
You don't want to know, pal.
Oh,
Especially when the movie list was smaller before I had to step away. I was able to usually before every match squeeze in every movie,
oh
which was
wow.
crazy. I would watch it, like I say, I would watch them at like 1.5 speed with the subtitles on the other window while I'd edit all day. So I literally it was like I had a 24/7 IG channel on monitor 2 here that I would have in the background with subtitles low volume while I was editing. I always needed something. Like I always watch sports or something, even before the
Yeah.
Schmodown. I would watch sports, baseball, now World Cup. Like I would always watch something on the screen while I edit because I need that. That's how I work. Um, but yeah, during the IG times, it was just like, all right. That's why I always felt like as long as I kept going, like I really felt I could beat anyone because I just was always watching the movies. And for people that were in the same division, they were unable to watch the movies while they worked. When I always felt that put me in an advantage. It made me a crazy person because I was so sick of the movies. Look at it, even reaches now. I don't even want to. I haven't seen Black Adam. Like, and I love DC movies. Just not in a rush to see a movie right now.
You don't have to go out of your way to see Black Adam anytime soon. I will say that.
You didn't like it?
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. I've seen better.
But the other things that I revisited before we go here, the last thing was The Offer is really good on Paramount Plus. You see
Yeah,
that?
I hear that. I hear that because that's on my list.
It's about the making of The Godfather, and
Yeah.
it makes you appreciate The Godfather so much more when you finally see it. So we watched we watched the show, and then afterwards watched the Godfather trilogy, and like it's just so enhanced by it. And Dan Fogler, who was in the Fantastic Beasts movies, and he played Jacob Kowalski.
Yep.
But he's in The Offer. He plays Francis Ford Coppola, and then Miles Teller from Top Gun Maverick. He's in it. He plays like the producer that basically wills that movie to get made. And I had no idea how much like the mafias and stuff they wanted to shut down that movie. And there's like real mafia characters in it that are existing in the world while the Godfather made, and a lot of them were trying to shut it down. And then they actually got one of the mobsters to really back the movie. And one of his only things, he said, never say the word mafia. So in the first movie, the word mafia is not it's never said in the script or anything. And that was a
Oh,
condition
really?
made by the mob. Yeah, they had to rewrite part of the script to
Oh,
avoid that. So you hear things like that, and then just like it's really good, and you just realize how hard it is to make a movie. And then this is one of the greatest movies of all time, so it really gives you that, and it's fun to like watch that and then watch The Godfather after. It just feels like it's a complete set. You know what I mean? Like if they ever have a DVD collection of The Offer, they should have it included with the movies.
oh wow. Yeah, I have to watch that.
Yeah.
Uh, well, thank you. Is there anything else? I mean, or is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I mean, right now that's pretty much it. I've been watching sports. Obviously, it's nice to watch. Like I said, it's just nice to watch non IG stuff aside from the Star Wars.
Right.
I'll always have love for Star Wars, but like, yeah, watching sports, being able to watch the NFL games on a Sunday instead of watching X Men Origins Wolverine has been nice. And yeah, and yet I keep tabs on wrestling, but I don't really watch it. But during WrestleMania season, I always start to watch during like right after Royal Rumble, and I'll watch up until WrestleMania. So it's like I'll have like 7-8 months off of wrestling, and then like 4 months on. You know what I mean? So that's why I always like the Showdown, because I've been a lifelong wrestling fan. I kind of got it. I understood what Christian was trying to do. So wrestling, and that'll be next month. But yeah, just watching hockey and watching the Rams lose this season, which sucks. But watching football. You like sports?
yeah, I do. I do. Football and basketball are my two favorites.
Yeah, yeah. I like. Yeah, basketball. Lakers have been struggling. I kind of just like over the LeBron experiment. Like I was stoked when we got him, but no one's ever. It's just tough to replace Kobe, and I like that
Yeah,
Kobe was homegrown from the beginning.
right.
And I thought that when LeBron would come, like it would feel like he was a Laker, but it never felt, for me, blasphemous, I know, but it's never quite felt like he was a Laker. You know what I mean? Like, not like even, because like Kareem came from another team, but he felt like a Laker. And, maybe if LeBron stays, if he pushes through these tough times, but I would think he's probably going to leave. And if he leaves, then he'll never, to me, feel like quite the Laker. He brought him a championship, but, you know.
Hey man, I know what it's like. I've been here my whole life, and I know.
Yeah.
So, thank you, man, so much for coming on. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me down. I don't know if this is going to be covered by your graphics on the screen, but at Kev Smets and at Scoundrels Inc. That is our Star Wars show where me, Frank Janish, Sean Sullivan, and Brandon Hanna talk Star Wars, talk Andor, and then of course at Kev Smets on, I guess, Hive now. Is that where everybody's going to? But yeah,
Yeah.
Twitter and all the socials. And yeah, I like to keep people going with what's going on with my cancer recovery and all that. So you can, you stick along with us, stick along for the ride. Hopefully, we'll keep getting good news here as the scans approach next week.
Congrats on everything, man. It's
Thank you.
really wonderful.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And guys, you can find me at my Twitter at ManRanger5. And yeah, I'm all over this channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy to today, and we'll see you next time. Have a good week.
See you later.